Before anything else, if you're somewhere quiet, rain tapping the glass near you, maybe on second floor windows or a porch, take a moment, hit like or subscribe if you want to, then let me know where you're tuning in from. What hour is this for you? Are you safe in bed or up with the storm lingering outside? It's well past midnight, the kind of hour where time slows down and rain starts to spin stories on its own. You're in a house that's older than you expected, rented for the weekend on the outskirts of town. The kind of place with narrow stairs, creaking wood floors, and windows that don't quite seal the wind. The storm isn't fierce yet. A steady drizzle clings to the eaves, the rhythm soft but insistent against the panes, just enough to dim the usual quiet with a constant masking hum. You've been drifting between waking and sleeping when a faint sound pulls your attention sharply back. Footsteps. Muffled, echoing outside a second-floor window, just beyond the small balcony. You rub your eyes, slow your breathing. Maybe it's the rain playing tricks, but no, there it is again. Slow, deliberate steps on the wet stone ledge outside, followed by a pause, the sound of water droplets falling onto tangled leaves. You hold still, the cold pressing lightly against your skin through the thin blanket. The window's latch is sturdy, but you glance toward it anyway. The fogged glass shows nothing but swirling mists. Cold breath of the night, curling in patterns you almost understand. Lightning gleams distantly, and you think you catch a shadow stepping back out of sight. No shape, no form, just footsteps retreating. The silence that follows seems to stretch longer than the sound itself. Your heart ticks faster, not loud, but enough to remind you you're awake, alert, counting the seconds before anything else happens. The rain falls on the roof in even sheets now, a steady curtain disguising the quietest footsteps. You stand, feeling the wooden floor chill your bare feet as you cross to the window. You check the peephole in the door down the hall, empty. The front porch wet, no footprints that weren't there before. The street lamp flickers, a dull orange eye that barely lights the driveway lined with dense trees. You wrestle with the impulse to call someone, police or a friend, but the phone screen shows low signal, no bars steady enough. You decide instead to lock every door, triple-check the back door's metal latch that sometimes sticks when moist. You listen to the house settle, the pipes sighing gently, the wind in the gutters. The storm hasn't turned violent, but the dark feels thicker now, layered with something else. The footsteps don't come again, but in their absence, you're aware of every noise the house makes, as if the silence around them whispers louder. Is someone out there still? Or was it only the rain and your tired mind shaping what you wanted, or feared, to hear? You settle back into your chair, the blankets pulled snug, and wonder about the strange peace of being watched from a place you cannot see. Feet that move where no light reaches, quiet steps that vanish before you blink. The storm keeps holding you in its steady rhythm, each drop a reminder of the world outside your walls. And in that long pause between sound and silence, between what you know and what you don't, you ask yourself, how far does real safety stretch when the night listens back? Before we get started, if you're somewhere cozy with the sound of rain tapping nearby, take a moment. Hit like or subscribe if you haven't yet, and drop a thought about where you're listening from, your corner of the world, what time it is and how the night feels where you are. It's just past 2 a.m., you realize, when the attic door creaks quietly. The rain outside has lightened to a gentle drizzle, its rhythm soft enough to almost blend into the house's own size. You've been lying awake, the faint sounds of the storm weaving through the cracked window, the air cool with the damp smell of wet earth and old wood settling. A low pulse of quiet hums around the edges of the dark. Then, the sound comes again. Slow, deliberate, the attic door's latch shifting, the faint creak of hinges. Not a door left untouched, not at this hour. Not while everything else in the house breathes deep sleep. You tense, every fiber alert. Yet the sound isn't loud, more like a whisper riding the draft. Your skin feels the chill spread further, the pulse of unease settling just below your ribs. You sit up carefully, the thin cotton pajamas cool against your arms. The wood floor is bare beneath your feet as you slip from the bed, muscles moving crisp and silent. You reach for the small flashlight on your nightstand, knowing this house's corners hide shadows like soft curtains. The little beam casts a narrow path ahead as you push yourself toward the attic stairs, the air thick with the scent of must and rain-dampened leaves lingering near the drafty upstairs window. Each step creaks underfoot, louder in the stillness, echoing too long. You pause mid-flight, pulse quickening, listening for something beyond your own breathing. Nothing but the rain and the unsteady tick of the old clock in the hall. The attic door stands closed, pale wood marked by years of peeling paint. Your hand hesitates at the edge, cold and clammy, before pushing gently. The door yields with a reluctant groan, the hinges releasing a slow, agonizing creak that slides under your skin. The beam probes the narrow, cramped space beyond, rows of boxes, forgotten furniture draped in sheets, the smell of dust stirred fresh, but no footprints, no new disturbances. The floorboards look dry, the air still, except for the steady drip from the eaves outside. You scan every corner, the beam flickering over shadowed folds and spiderwebs as the house settles. There is nothing, or nothing yet. Outside, the rain picks up suddenly, pattering thicker against the roof like fingers tapping out a restless code. For a moment, the house feels hollow and heavy, as if waiting. You close the attic door slowly, listening to the latch snap into place. That faint sound returns. Footsteps? Or the house settling further into the night? The impossible question lingers in the damp air between the walls. When the night moves just out of sight, how much of it is waiting, and how much is watching? If you're there, somewhere calm or restless, maybe warmed by a blanket while rain taps steadily on your window, take a moment, subscribe if you want, and think about where you're listening from. What hour is it for you? Quiet night or restless evening? Maybe this little story fits somewhere in between. It's just after 1 a.m., and the rain drips in a slow, steady rhythm against the side window next to you. The kind of rain that's light enough to let you hear more than just itself. There's a smell in the air, wet earth pushing its way through cracks and seams, mixed with the faint musk of old wood soaked from earlier storms. The cool air presses lightly against your skin where it sneaks in around the edge of the glass. You're alone in this rented house, a small cottage perched at the edge of a wood-lined lane, far from the flicker of streetlights or neighbors' windows. The only illumination comes from a soft lamp you left on in the living room, casting long shadows that sway a little as branches brush the house outside. The phone's resting on the kitchen counter, face down, signal weak, the kind you wouldn't want to rely on if something unexpected happened. The rain's rhythm shifts faintly, the quiet tapping becoming more distinct against the pane, the kind of sound that pulls your attention to the garden beyond the window. You blink through the damp glass and catch movement. Just at the corner of your vision, where the porch roof shadows touch the gravel, a shape, a figure standing still, blurred and faint in the fog and drizzle. You freeze, fingertip grazing the edge of the window latch, feeling the cold metal under your skin. Breath catches, sharp and wet in your throat. The figure isn't moving, but you don't need it to hear soft footsteps now, shifting a few inches forward on the gravel. No shoes squeak on wet stone. Each step is muted, careful, like someone trying not to be heard. The rain muffles everything except your own accelerated heartbeat. Your hand finds your phone, slowly, feeling the grain of the wooden floor cold beneath your feet. You flip the screen on. Still no bars, just that endless searching symbol blinking back. The figure's silhouette is just a dark blur, outline softened by mist. You lean closer, trying to make out a face, an arm, any sign of familiarity. Nothing. Just the slow drip of water from the roof, the rustling of leaves stirred by a breath of wind. You move quietly to the back door, the one with the old deadbolt you check twice before bed. Your fingers press firmly against the cold steel. Locked. You pull the curtains aside, just enough to peer through the small window inset in the door. Nothing there. No footsteps leading around. No signs of anyone past the porch or in the shadowed backyard. Outside, the rain flickers with a sudden spike, a flash of distant lightning, quick and sharp, lighting up the soggy garden fully for a heartbeat. And in that blink, the figure is gone. No trace on the gravel, no sound, just the relentless patter of rain again. You step back, heart still thrumming fiercely. The house feels heavy now, dense with the quiet you can't quite place. Something about being alone, watching from inside a warmly lit room while unseen watchers tread just outside, makes the walls sound thinner than they really are. The night folds in around you, bringing a question that feels too big and too small all at once. When someone or something stands outside the door, watching through the dark, how do you know if it's waiting or just lost like you? If you're here now with rain against your window, or perhaps tucked under a warm blanket listening in, take a moment, hit like or subscribe if you'd like, and think about where you are and what time it is for you tonight. Maybe this sound of rain mixing with quiet tension fits into your late hours, or echoes your restless feeling just right. It's just past midnight. You're alone in a small rental house on the outskirts of town, where the trees crowd close and the streetlights are distant, barely touching the wet asphalt. Outside, the rain falls steadily, a soft curtain of water pattering and pooling against stone and wood. The air smells heavy with wet pine and the faint musky scent of earth soaking the night. Your skin feels cool where it brushes against the sleeve of your shirt, damp from the creeping chill that the house can't quite chase away. You've been trying to sleep, but the steady drip against the gutters and the rhythmic tapping of raindrops on the side window keep pulling your attention back outside. Suddenly, for a heartbeat, the quiet shifts. Faint but unmistakable, soft knocks, gentle taps coming from the front door. Slow and deliberate, almost cautious, as if someone didn't want to disturb the night more than necessary. You hold your breath, heart slipping into a careful rhythm that matches the rain. The first tap is followed by silence, then another. You sit up slowly, feeling the floor cool beneath your feet as you rise and move toward the hallway. Each step echoes faintly, the wooden boards breathing beneath your weight. You glance at the clock. 12:07 a.m. Glance outside through the peephole in the front door. Reveals only blurred shadows flickering in the downpour. No one's face, no shape, only the vague suggestion that something had been there, standing just beyond the porch light's dim circle. Your fingers tighten around the cold metal of the deadbolt as you slide the lock fully into place. You check the chain latch, clicking it shut with a quiet but resolute snap. The phone rests on the table, screen lit with the time, but signal bars are thin and flickering. You decide against calling anyone. That immediate urge to share the moment, to multiply your safety. That urge battles with the knowledge that sometimes waiting and watching quietly is all you can do. The knocking has stopped, but your ears catch something else. A light scrape, sound of shifting feet, perhaps on gravel or damp leaves, at the side of the house, near the narrow walkway. You move deliberately to the window, pulling aside the curtain just enough to peer out. The rain continues to fall, a shimmering veil that softens shapes and muffles sound. You can't see the figure, just the dark shapes of trees and the slick outline of the driveway. Behind you, the house is warm and bright, safe. Outside, the rain patiently masks secrets. You wonder quietly, as the steady drip turns back into its simple song, whatever was waiting or watching, how much did it know about you already? And how long had it been there, before you even heard that first soft knock? Sometimes you think, the night listens better than we do, and maybe that's the part we can never quite understand. If you're listening now, wherever you are, nestled somewhere quiet, or maybe just wide awake with the rain drumming softly on your window, take a moment, hit like or subscribe if it feels right, and think for a second about where and when it is for you. Maybe this moment unfolds in the loneliest stretch of night, between the boundaries of sleep and wakefulness. It's just past 3 a.m. You're driving down an empty highway, the world swallowed in thick fog. The rain has eased to a fine mist, each droplet ghosting across the windshield with a soft tapping noise that blends into the hum of your tires on wet asphalt. The air inside the car feels cool, the faint smell of damp earth drifting in through a cracked window. Your fingers grip the steering wheel, a little tighter than usual, as your eyes keep flicking to the faint gleam ahead. Down the road, headlights slice through the fog. They appear and disappear like faint pulses in a heavy sea of gray. No other cars behind or ahead, just that isolated glow you can't confirm as friend or stranger. You slow slightly, watching the beams tremble as the fog shifts with the wind. There's an itch in your skin, a quiet tension tightening around the back of your neck that isn't just the cold. You check the dashboard clock. It reads 3:14 a.m., and the street signs drift past blurred and silent. The only sound beyond rain and engine hum are those occasional distant knocks of tires hitting puddles. Every so often, there's a flicker of movement beside the road, just the bend of a branch or a fallen leaf stirred by the wind, but you're certain you heard something else before that. A faint, irregular crunch beneath gravel, maybe footsteps? You glance quickly in the rearview mirror. Nothing there. Just your own eyes staring back, bright and alert. A few miles behind you, the fog thickens so suddenly it feels like it might swallow the road. The headlights ahead grow sharper, closer, though you can't be sure if that's comfort or threat. You flick the windshield wipers, slow them to the lowest setting, letting that soft rhythm ease your pulse. Yet your senses sharpen. Outside, the wet air smells deeper now, like moss and cold stone, and faint echoes drift in, too soft to place clearly, but just enough to unsettle. You reach a small turnout, a patch of cracked pavement beside the road, lined with overgrown grass and slick blackberries. You stop, kill the engine. The fog rolls in thick around the car, obscuring the trees beyond. You open the door slowly. Cold air rushes in, pulling at your coat and raising goosebumps along your arms. The silence is broken only by the patter of rain settling into puddles. You wait. Lean against the car, ears straining. Somewhere near, you think you hear a soft shuffle, maybe a single footfall on sodden earth. But when you peer into the fog, the world is empty, patient. No figure steps forward. No shape moves between the quiet and the mist. You close the door, the latch clicking shut. Head resting briefly against the frame, the warmth returns, a brief comfort in the small space. Outside, the headlights vanish like a soft breath held then released. The road ahead washes out in cold gray, endless and silent. You wonder, not for the first time, as the fog pulls its curtain tight around the world. When you're this small, alone on a road with no one else in sight, how much of what you hear is really there? And what if some steps, some sounds, belong to something no one else can see or understand? If you're listening now, maybe nestled somewhere quiet with the steady drip of rain outside your window. Take a moment, hit like or subscribe if you want, and think about where and when this reaches you. What hour is it where you are? The dark hours hold their own weight, and sometimes it's the small things that stir the heaviness. It's just after 11 p.m., and the rain has slowed to a persistent drizzle, tapping gently against the side windows of the small rental you're staying in. The air smells sharp with wet earth and the faint scent of pine from the nearby woods, thick and damp around the house. The wooden floors beneath your feet feel cool, the chill seeping through thin socks as you move toward the back door. You hadn't meant to check outside again, but something pulled at you, a subtle sense, like distant footsteps, echoing just beyond hearing. The quiet hum of the rain almost hides it, but then a creak of the porch boards, soft and cautious. Your fingers brush the cold metal of the deadbolt, pushing it fully engaged, while your other hand slides the chain latch into place. The back door is locked tight, safety reinforced with familiar motions learned from nights like this. The faintest sound draws you closer, the quiet scuffle of something shifting near the back porch, blending with the rhythm of the drizzle and the distant rumble of thunder. You step softly onto the porch, the boards cool and slick beneath your shoes, peering through the softened glow of the porch light. There, dim in the shadows where the fog clings low, muddy prints mark the damp wood beside the door latch. Fresh, uneven, and oddly spaced. They lead away from the door toward the overgrown garden beyond, disappearing into the dark thicket that borders the yard. You crouch to examine the prints, the cool air thick with moisture pressing against your skin. The smell here is heavier. Wet soil, crushed leaves, something faintly metallic that you can't place. You pull your jacket tighter around you, every sense alert. It's late, the neighbors miles away, the road silent except for rain spilling down gutters. Your phone's sitting inside, screen glowing faintly from where you left it on the kitchen counter. It buzzes with a low battery warning, but no signal. Just that muted searching symbol that feels lonelier than any sound. You stand, eyes scanning the black shapes of trees lining the yard. Somewhere beyond the reach of the porch light, nothing moves. The air feels thick, waiting, patient. When you glance back at the door, the latch clicks softly as you try it again, locked tight. You run fingers over the wood, remnants of mud still sticky to your touch, and wonder how long those prints have been there before you notice them. Not a sound to follow, no footprints beyond that first trail. The rain starts to patter harder, tracing patterns on the porch roof, a quiet percussion to the pulse of your thoughts. You step inside, the door shutting with a solid, reassuring thunk. The warmth of the living room feels sudden after the damp cold outside, yet something lingers. The weight of being watched, footsteps that fade but don't disappear, voices the fog seems to swallow just before you hear them. You realize how carefully you watch the locked doors, how small signs like muddy prints can shift the night's meaning quietly but irreversibly. And you ask yourself as the rain sounds steady again against the windows, what else moves outside that you cannot see? And how long does the night hold its watch before the dawn steals it away?